Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are bringing absolutely high energy to a topic that frankly stresses out so many test takers. I'm talking about the PTE summarized written text task. Look, if you'd ever felt completely overwhelmed by this part of the exam, trust me, you're exactly where you need to be right now. We're going to completely demystify this whole challenge and turn it into one of your highest scoring sections. Let's get into it.
Now, I bet that feeling of wide-eyed panic hits the second you sit down, the screen loads, and boom, you are staring at this massive 300-word wall of text with only a 10-minute timer ticking down, right? I totally get that sheer panic. It literally feels like there's absolutely no time to process all that info. But let me assure you right now, with the strategy we're about to uncover, you won't even need to read that entire text to snag a perfect score. Seriously.
So, here's our survival guide for today. First, the one-sentence challenge. Second, understanding the scoring criteria. Third, our absolute secret weapon, the copy and paste strategy. Fourth, selecting the right content. And finally, avoiding fatal mistakes.
All right, starting off with part one, the one-sentence challenge. Let's talk about the rules of the game here. These are the absolute foundational constraints of this task. If you don't respect these rules, honestly, no amount of fancy, advanced English vocabulary is going to save your score.
10. That is your total time limit in minutes for this entire task. You have got to read, summarize, write, and check your work in exactly 10 minutes. And yeah, without a rock-solid strategy, 10 minutes feels like what, 30 seconds? But with the right approach, it's actually more than enough time. So let's establish these crucial word count constraints. The absolute maximum is 75 words. The absolute minimum is 5. But your ideal target, your sweet spot, is right in that pocket between 55 and 70 words. A really great safety net is to always keep it above 50 words, just to make sure you capture enough content. But listen closely, because here is the single most important rule of the entire task. It must be exactly one single sentence. I mean it. If you write 76 words, or if you accidentally write 2 sentences, your score will instantly be ruined. No exceptions. Moving right along to section 2, understanding the scoring criteria. We really need to look at exactly how your points are awarded here. To understand why those rules we just talked about are so rigid, we kind of have to look under the hood at how the PTE algorithm actually evaluates your work. So there are 7 total points up for grabs. You get 2 for content, 1 for form, 2 for grammar, and 2 for vocabulary. Now, notice that spelling isn't uniquely scored here, though of course, bad spelling will hurt your overall writing score down the line. But I really want you to pay close attention to that 1 point for form. If you miss that point, meaning, you write less than 5 words, more than 75 words, or more than 1 sentence, it cascades. You will lose the points for everything else. Boom, 0. Form is quite literally the linchpin of your entire score here. Okay, section 3, the copy and paste strategy. Get ready, because here is your secret weapon. This is really the aha moment of this entire explainer. Think about it. If the goal is a perfectly grammatical single sentence that captures the content without breaking the form, how on earth do we do that reliably under intense pressure? Well, the answer is simple. We bypass complex writing entirely. Yup, your absolute best friends on that test screen are the copy, cut, and paste buttons. This task is remarkably, beautifully mechanical. You do not need to be a creative genius here. You need to be a precise mechanic. The tools provided right there in the interface are your biggest assets to ensure perfect grammar and vocabulary because you're pulling it straight from the source itself. Let's just compare our options for a second. Strategy 1 is copy-paste. It's easy, it's totally safe, and it's highly effective because you're just adapting 3 or 4 perfect sentences from the text into a reliable template. Now, strategy 2 is paraphrasing. And yes, it is rewarded, but it is vastly more challenging. It requires complex grammatical mastery under severe time pressure. Honestly, unless you are a highly advanced, super confident English speaker, strategy 1 is the practical, smart choice to just lock in and guarantee your points. Now, take a look at this beautifully simple template. Notice how this works. You write while, then plug in your first sentence, put a comma, add your second sentence, drop in a semicolon, add your third sentence, and finish with a full stop. By using a conjunction like while at the start and a semicolon in the middle, this structure neatly glues 3 completely independent copied sentences together into one perfect grammatically correct mega-sentence. I mean, it is practically magic. But wait, what if the source text you're reading happens to have very brief, short sentences? If you only copy 3 of those, you might not hit that 50-word safety net we talked about. Well, that's exactly where this expanded template comes in. By just adding a comma and the word "and" near the end, you can tack on a fourth copied sentence. Having this flexibility ensures you will always hit that ideal 55 to 70 word count, no matter how the original text is formatted. All right, section 4, selecting the right content. So we've got our tools and we have our templates. The next logical question is, how do we actually pick the sentences to plug into these trusty templates to maximize that content score?
It basically boils down to an objective 3-step process. First off, please don't just copy the very first 3 sentences of the text. Pick from different zones. Grab one from the intro, maybe one from the main body, and one from the conclusion. This ensures you're actually covering the broad meaning of the text, which secures those 2 content points. Second, give them a quick skim to make sure they aren't repeating the exact same vocabulary or making the exact same point. And third, this is a big one, just ignore any sentences with question marks or weird symbols. They just complicate the grammar of your template, and we want to keep it simple.
I really want to stress this advice from our source material heavily. You must capture the entire sentence exactly as it is. Start immediately after a full stop and copy every single word, comma, and bracket right up until the very next full stop. Period. Never try to change the internal punctuation. Maintaining the absolute grammatical integrity of the sentence you copied is exactly what guarantees you those 2 grammar points.
Which brings us to number 5, avoiding fatal mistakes. Let's quickly build a troubleshooting checklist to protect that score. Because look, even with the perfect strategy, things can go sideways if you lose focus during those final testing minutes. Consider this your absolute final check before you hit submit. First, capitalize the very first word of your answer. Seems obvious, but do it. Second, and man, people always forget this. If you use the semicolon template, you must decapitalize the word immediately following that semicolon, unless, of course, it's a proper noun. Third, never copy just half a sentence. It completely ruins the grammar. Fourth, do a quick check that your word count is sitting safely between 55 and 75. And finally, I literally cannot warn you urgently enough. Do not forget the final full stop at the end. Forgetting that full stop means it's technically not a complete sentence, which breaks the form rule, which can instantly result in a 0 for both reading and writing. It is the ultimate rule. Don't forget it.
Ultimately, this entire blueprint is designed to just build up your confidence. When you follow this exact system, when you manage your word count, copy perfectly from full stop to full stop, use that structural template, and do your final punctuation check, you secure your points. It takes what feels like a totally terrifying task and transforms it into a highly mechanical, completely stress-free victory.
I'll just leave you with this final thought for your exam prep. When you're in a high-stakes testing environment, efficiency and rule following will be showing off every single time. So the question is, will you risk the complex, error-prone paraphrasing path, or will you lean on this safe, structured template to guarantee your perfect score? The choice is entirely yours, but I think you know what the winning strategy is now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy studying.